back from Bartlett Park. This next place I want to show you here, it's, for the longest time I couldn't figure out where people were talking about Ed Trey Hill in Porterville. You'd see it on websites talking about haunted places in the Porterville area, and I could never figure out what they were talking about. Well, it turns out it's this little hill over here behind Granite Hills High School that there's not much on it. There used to be a house on it. It was bulldozed after it caught fire. But I think there's a water tank up there. Anyway, this little hill is what some people, I guess, refer to as Ed Trey. And Ed Trey was Eddie Trey. He was a guy that lived, well, his parents used to live on this hill. And back in the late 90s, his parents had passed away already. He had gotten the house. I guess he inherited the house. It was a really nice house that his dad had built for his mom. Nice two-story house, overlooked the little valley here. You could watch the races at Rocky Hill Speedway from your front window. And apparently, this guy, Eddie Trey, his friend, he had a friend named Larry Teague. Now, Larry Teague was kind of a religious fanatic, and he was convinced that the youth of Porterville were being destroyed by drugs and whatnot from the different drug dealers in town. Now, Eddie Trey was a small-time drug dealer. He dealt pot. He sold pot. He used to drive around in a late 60s convertible red Oldsmobile convertible. And it was an Oldsmobile Wildcat, as a matter of fact. And I remember the car because he had some customers down in the mobile home park I lived in up there, and I remember seeing his car down there. Well, one day, I guess Larry Teague had asked Eddie if Eddie would take some pictures of him holding his new shotgun. And they came up here, or Eddie came up here, Larry came up here with his shotgun and asked Eddie to take some pictures of him. Well, while Eddie had his back turned, his supposed friend, Larry Teague, shot him in the back with a shotgun. Now, while all of this was going on, Eddie's girlfriend at the time, I don't remember what her name was, she was in the house. And she heard all this commotion going on, so she came outside to see what was going on. And there is her boyfriend, Eddie Trey, laying face down on the ground with, a shotgun hole in his back. And there is Larry Teague standing there with the shotgun, acting like nothing, just average stuff going on here. So she's freaked out, obviously. Meanwhile, Eddie's not dead. Eddie's still breathing. So Larry takes it upon himself to walk over to Eddie and shoot him in the face with a shotgun right in front of his girlfriend, and goes on to cut the phone line so the police could not be called. Now, mind you, this is back in the late 90s. Nobody had cell phones. And I guess according to some biblical scripture that Larry had read, something about hanging a body in a tree for 24 hours upside down to something, I don't know. There was some biblical scripture that he quoted, and he took some electrical cord out of the back of his truck and hung Larry in a tree, or hung Eddie, his dead body, in a tree. Now, then he took off and ran off up in the mountains. They eventually caught him. He got tried, obviously. Found guilty of murder. He was actually found insane, if I'm not mistaken, and sent to Atascadero. And as far as I know, he has since been released from prison. I don't know exactly where he's at now, but I'm taking you up here to where the Teague home, or the Trey home used to be. Now, a funny story, I used to work for a sandwich delivery shop here in Porterville, and I delivered out here one time to Eddie Trey and his girlfriend. And obviously this is before all this went down. This is back in probably 94, 95 maybe. I think it happened in 95. I drove all the way out here. They used to have a driveway that you had to follow around. Their original driveway is gone now. And our delivery car at the time was a little Geo Metro. And that thing could barely make it up the hill. But I got out here and made this delivery to him. And apparently we forgot part of the order. So I drove back down to Hoagie's, which was a good probably 3 miles from here, and to get the rest of the order. Came back, and when I came back, knocked on the door, Eddie acted like he didn't know what I was talking about. Hey, here's the rest of your order. What are you talking about? I didn't order nothing. Well, yeah, you did, because I just gave you the order. You paid me for it. And mind you, his pupils were dilated, were just like, so you know something was up. But anyway, so that was not too long before this all went down. And I'd forgotten all about this until people started bringing up Ed Trey Hill on the internet. And I had to figure out where this Ed Trey Hill was. Well, I got to the bottom of it. So anyway, I'm going to take you out and I'm going to show you what's left of the house. It's kind of a shame because it was a nice house. It was a really nice house. And beautiful views. I'll show you that too. Well, here we go. Okay, so there's the driveway coming up here. And there is a tree on that hill. I don't know if that was the tree. Rumor has it that the tree used to be farther down the hill, and that one of Eddie's brothers or his brother-in-law or something cut the tree down after that happened for obvious reasons. This is where the house used to sit. All that's left is rubble. There is concrete, there's sheetrock, and that's about it. You know, kids still come up here and party and drink and do who knows what. But as far as the haunted part of this story, there's claims that people hear voices and they hear whispers, and most of that supposedly takes place at the very top of this hill, which is odd because there's a flat spot at the top of the hill, but it was there. They flattened that out long after this happened. So anyway, this is the house. This is the garage right here. Small garage, as you can see. And the house was here. Apparently, I think this is the living room, and I think the front door was over here. From what I could tell, this area over here was the kitchen. Now, there may have been a door here, I don't know. But I remember finding really nice tile over here. So I'm assuming this was the kitchen area. And as you can see, it looks out over Rocky Hill Speedway, which is this oval you see in the distance here. And then Bartlett Park, where we were at, is up just around the corner, around that mountain. And then you have Porterville, East Porterville, right here. Over here, Grand Hills High School down there, and that's looking west towards Porterville. Beautiful views up here when it's green. It's when it's all brown. Yeah, I believe this is the front door. Yeah, because there's steps here. So this was the front door of the house, and the driveway went all the way around it. So you had the front door here. Then I think you had the kitchen here, because that's where all the tile was at. Like I said, it was 2 stories. Really nice house. Back over here, this is Rocky Hill. Lots of snakes. Lots of rattlesnakes in the summer. Yeah, but there used to be rumors that the Klan had hung somebody up here back in the 60s, and it was their ghost, and that there was a gang member from LA buried underneath the tree, and it was his ghost that people heard. And really the only thing when you hear when you're up here at night is the goats in the little farm down below the mountain on the other side. And yeah, I guess you could mistake goats for the wails of long dead souls, but I don't know. Anyway, there's my little ride, my little 2003 Isuzu Rodeo Sport that gets me everywhere I'm going. All right, anyway, that's it. That's the mystery of Ed Trey Hill.